Welcome into the Husker247 Daily show. I am Mike Schaefer, joined by Michael Bruntz. Nebraska's coordinators spoke on Tuesday. Bruntz and there's a lot of reaction from Dana Holgorsen, kind of talking about his plan. John Butler talking about his plan and sort of working his way to an apology for not being aggressive enough after Nebraska gave up that touchdown run. Which of the two coordinators stood out to you maybe a little bit more when you kind of went through those comments that they made on Tuesday? It's been sort of an interesting press conference week for Nebraska. All three coaches kind of standing up there and talking, and the reaction to all of it has been kind of stand out to me.
Yeah, I think of the two, probably Butler was the most interesting. He's not really doesn't really share a lot, I guess. I mean, he shares what he wants to share, and that's what he's going to share. And I thought, his comments about basically how he kind of got spooked by that long run, I thought were interesting, especially in light of the fact that it's the same play that Nebraska's given up
Right.
long runs on the last few weeks and the rest of the season. I think this defense, especially when you look at the personnel, they have to attack. Like, this is not a defense that's just going to sit back and be able to, play just kind of a base defense. You have to take some risks. You have to attack. You have to get your smaller linemen going upfield and trying to make havoc plays. So I think that was a pretty good diagnosis of what was ailing Nebraska's defense. I mean, it did feel like after that run that it was very much just kind of giving up 8-play drives, giving up 9-minute drives like that. That was just the game that played out. So it all made sense. I mean, when he's saying it up there, it's like, yeah, that's what I watched on Friday and what I'm trying to forget this week.
Yeah, part of my general, I don't know, I don't use the word optimism because I don't really describe myself as optimistic, but part of why I think Nebraska can bounce back.
Don't sell yourself short. You're very optimistic.
Thank you. Part of why I think Nebraska can bounce back is for as bad as they have played at times defensively, I just felt like that was one of the more uncharacteristic performances we've seen from the defense this year. It's one thing if you're giving up big long runs to Justice Hayes, or you have a bus that allows Bryce Underwood to rip something off, or Maryland identifies that they want to run directly on one side, same side that Minnesota ran on. I think Nebraska will come out and play better defensively, in part because I think John Butler recognized what went wrong. Matt Rule obviously recognized it too. And I think they're going to be a little bit more aggressive. And I just don't think Northwestern is explosive. And explosive isn't the concern, but it's can you get them, knocked back? Can you get a few more havoc stats? I mean, you and I sat in that press box and we were commenting on how deep into the game it got before Nebraska even had a TFL on Friday. I don't think that's going to happen again on Saturday. I mean, they will give up some chunk plays because that's Nebraska's defense against the run, but I also think they're going to have a lot more in terms of stops in the defensive backfield. I think if you look at the season, they have been better at that than they were on Friday night.
Yeah, offensively, what did you make of Dana's comments? I think we probably need to spend more time there. Like, I thought it was interesting when he was talking about the sacks and basically what they need to scheme up going forward. Like, what are you expecting this offense to look like? Because supposedly it was simplified, especially in the run game, from what they did last year. But what are you expecting this week from Nebraska's offense, given Dana's comments yesterday?
Yeah, doesn't it kind of feel like he's searching for the right thing to kind of work with this offensive group? I mean, we've heard that they want to get back to the run more. We've heard that they need quicker pass plays. We've heard, some different things. They feel like they're a little bit in the throw it against the wall and see what sticks right now phase with their offense. And that's kind of what I took out of some of his comments, when you compare it to what he's talked about here earlier this year. I think, he said the same stuff we've all said. You got to get Ja'Cory the ball more. You got to get Dane Key the ball more. Well, I mean, some of that is Dylan's got to be able to make throws. It's not that they didn't target Dane Key. He had two wide open routes, down the sidelines, that one on the fade and one on the deep ball. Like, Dylan's got to hit one of those two, and it's a different game. Nebraska has a touchdown at that point. So, I think for him, it's a combination of how do I continue to call this game to use our players, but also how can I call this game where it keeps Dylan Raiola in rhythm? Because I think that's sort of the big part of it too. I don't know. Was there a certain quote in there that stuck out for you about Holgorsen? Or
Well, I go back to what Rule said on Monday of like offensively, there's what you want to do and there's what you can do, and I think that's kind of the friction point that you're talking about with throwing things at the wall a little bit. Because I think there's absolutely things that Nebraska wanted to do against Minnesota that they just could not do because they couldn't protect the quarterback or Dylan wasn't seeing things, and I think that's the challenge going the rest of the way. Really, is yeah, you'd love to stretch the field. Yeah, you'd love to do certain things, but what are you able to do within kind of the confines of whatever your personnel is? Because obviously, I mean, I feel like we've got a large enough sample size to know that Nebraska's pass protection is probably going to be an issue unless you scheme up something to help them out. Sounds like Spindler's going to give it a go. You get Pritchett back. That's all good, but there's enough things going on and enough guys kind of taking their turns screwing up that, you got to find something, I think, from the sidelines that you can kind of go to and count on, whether that's more run game or whatever. But I think part of it is a heavier dose of Emmett Johnson. I think part of it is, being a little bit more direct with where the ball needs to go, I guess, if you're, calling plays for Dylan. I don't know that he felt he ever looked comfortable on Monday too. And I think your point about rhythm is a really important one as they get into that game on Saturday. Like it feels like you got to get something early that you can kind of feel good about and build on and make you feel at least like the Minnesota game was a little bit of a blip.
yeah, and I think Severe said this on Sunday. I do wonder if Dana will be a little bit more direct and like, hey, the ball's got to go to this guy here. This is the play call. This is what we want. If you don't have that look, get it out to somebody else fast. I mean, it's easy to say that. Whether Dylan can do it becomes a different thing in there. He also had the comment that he felt like he was better about running the ball in the first half than he was in the second half. I'm curious how that will kind of play into this because Northwestern is a pretty good defense, Bruntz. I mean, this is a defense that shows up and has played against better offensive teams than Nebraska this year. And yes, they lost to Tulane and to Oregon, but they've given people games. And I think David Braun, I think he's done a really nice job since stepping into that situation that happened with Pat Fitzgerald, several years ago. And it's going to be a tough game for Nebraska on Saturday, no question.
Yeah, no, I mean, you kind of yesterday had the run of people coming through player wise, and it felt like a group that's kind of dealt with things a little bit in a very honest way, moved on. You had a players only meeting, so we're officially in players only meeting that portion of the schedule, and
The reaction to that has been baffling to me. Like
it's a bad thing.
yeah, okay, so the players are getting together. One, we've seen this throughout sports, all the time. We have no idea if it's actually going to matter or not. Two, do we think 100 some players got together for a meeting and then how many actually spoke? Three, you can easily spin this as doesn't it look like Nebraska's culture is strong if the players are getting together to address what was a terrible game on Friday and didn't need the coaches prodding to do it? Four, again, I don't understand what people want from that. It shouldn't be regarded as a bad thing that the players seem to care, right? Like
Right.
it was regarded on Friday as a bad thing because it looked like they didn't care.
Right.
So this would be the opposite of that. It's just we're in a very annoying week reaction wise for me. Right
I always say
I'm
that
struggling
in jest.
with it.
I say that in jest with the players only meeting stuff because I do appreciate the range of reactions to stuff like that. Like we just need here's what would change that if we just heard more about players only meetings when things are going well. Like if they're just like, yeah, we're gonna get together. We kick some ass this week. Let's get together and meet. Like that's what we need more of.
We got some donuts. We're gonna get together for some donuts in the morning, get a little coffee, get us going, be ready to go. So,
get together in the comment space and we're going to talk about things, just players. So,
all right. Well, we hope you, as listeners and viewers, that you have a players only meeting in your workspace
with donuts.
that can help invigorate you. Yeah, actually, I hope all of you get donuts today. That's what I really hope. I think everybody needs donuts. Donuts makes everything better. You can't get donuts at Husker 24/7, but you can get plenty of coverage of Nebraska football and plenty of coverage of Nebraska athletics in general. We'll be back tomorrow with the Husker 24/7 Hypecast. Todd Peterson joins us. We'll have more Husker 24/7 Daily as we get closer to this Northwestern game, and we'll find out how Nebraska responds from the Minnesota game that feels like it's been a little bit foundation shaking for the fan base, for the program, for all of it. So we'll see how that all happens.